The GCSE videos assume that you know your times tables and that you know how to multiply something by a one-digit number. If you don't, have a look at the pre-GCSE videos and make sure you learn your times tables from 1 to 10. In relation to 11 to 12, I'd say they're not as important. Today we're going to look at long multiplication and how we multiply a two-digit number by a two-digit number, or even bigger numbers. So we're starting off with this example, 24 times 38. Now trying to do it in your head can be extremely difficult, if not impossible. So what we're going to do instead of doing 24 times 38 is do 24 times 30 adding 24 times 8. So I've split the 38 up into the tens, as 30, and the 8, which is the unit. So if I can work out 24 times 30 and 24 times 8, then I can simply add the two together. Notice as well that doing 24 times 30 is actually 24 times 3 lots of 10. So I can actually again change that to 24 times 3 and add it to 24 times 8 if I put a 0 back on at the end of it onto the number I create at the top. So if I do 24 times 3 and then put a 0 on it, add it to 24 times 8, I've still got the same answer as 24 times 38. And this makes it a lot easier because I know from my basic multiplication how to do 24 times 3, and I know, because it's a one-digit number here, how to do 24 times 8. So let's have a look at us doing that then. Well, we're going to need to do 24 times 3 and 24 times 8. So let's start with the 24 times 3. We know that 3 times 4 is 12. Now, because the 1 is in the tens column in 12, we put it underneath to show that it goes over. Again, if you look at the pre-GCSE long addition and long subtraction, it explains why we move numbers across. And then 2 times 3 is 6, but because the 1 has come across, we've got to add that on, making 72. Over to the right side then, we start off with 8 times 4, which is 32. The 3 is going across, and we're leaving the 2 because the 3 is in the tens column of 32. Then we do 2 times 8, which is 16, adding on the 3 to make 19, and the 1 goes across, which gives us 192. And note as well how I've put the 0 back on the end of the 72 because we didn't want 24 times 3, we wanted 24 times 30. So 24 times 3 was 72, which makes 24 times 30 720. I just put a 0 on the end. And 24 times 8 is 192. So the last thing I've got to do now is add those two results together. If you don't know how to do this, look at the pre-GCSE long addition videos. But 0 add 2 gives us 2. 2 add 9 gives us 11. The 1 in the tens column going over. 7 and 1 will give us 8, but we've got to add the 1 on, which will change it to 9. So the answer for 24 times 38 is 912. Let's have a look at another example with an even bigger number this time, 232 times 54. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to split the 232 up into three numbers. The hundreds column, 200, the tens column, which is 30, and the units column, which is 2. And just like I did in the last one, I can actually forget about the zeros in the 200 and in the 30 as long as I put them in at the end. So actually what I'm going to do, instead of doing 54 times 200, I'm going to do 54 times 2. And instead of 54 times 30, I'm going to do 54 times 3. If I work out these three answers, put the zeros back in and add them together, I'll have my answer. So 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 5 is 10, the 1 going over giving me 108. 3 times 4 is 12, with the 1 going over. 3 times 5 is 15, so 5 and the 1 going over, and we've got to make sure we add that one on, leaving us with 162. And then 2 times 4 is 8, and 2 times 5 is 10, the 1 going over from the tens column, giving us 108. So we've got three answers: 108, 162 and 108. Our next job is to add the zeros back on. So I put the zeros on the 108. We'd multiplied by 200, so I need to put 2 zeros on, turn it into 10,800. The next time was we were multiplying by the tens column, so we need to put a 0 on, turning the 162 into 1,620. And the last one is just a multiple of the units, so we keep it the same. And now all I've got to do is add these three numbers together. So 0 add 0 add 8 is 8. 0 add 2 add 0 is 2. 8 add 6 add 1 is 15. So put the 5 down and the 1 goes over because it was in the tens column of 15. And then 1 will give us 1, but we've got to add that 1 on, changing it to 2. And then the 1, there's nothing below it, so we put it as 1. So our answer is 12,528.